to the first episode of the Rugby Rookie. And I'll tell you what, I couldn't be more stoked to have our first guest, Steph Rovetti. Now, for those of you that might not know Steph, all you have to go back to is a couple years ago at the Paris Olympics when the Team USA women's rugby team took bronze. All you have to do is look at that big group hug, and there's Steph. Now, she was a pivotal member of that team, but the enthusiasm afterwards, she's just screaming and yelling. And I just remember that picture. And that made me so happy, so happy. I've gotten to know Steph over the last year or so, and you couldn't find a finer individual. And so, Steph, thank you for making the time. I know you have business stuff, rugby stuff, everything else, and I couldn't be more happy to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Maurice and I have become friends. You know, I've become friends over the last year, and just staying involved in the rugby community. You know, the reason I was so happy after that game was because I knew I was retiring after that game, and so it was the way I wanted to go out. And so it was a pure moment of, that was my last sporting event, my last moment, and but yeah, always good to be here and be talking to you.
Well, this will be something that I hope we can capture your love of the game as well as some other tidbits that you'd give to the audience. And we started with the Olympics. I'm going to go straight into that if that's okay.
Yeah.
What were your expectations going into the Olympic Games? I mean, you have the New Zealand team, you have the Canadian team, you have an Australian team, you have all these ridiculous teams. Was it kind of intimidating, or did you folks go in like, let's go do this thing?
Yeah, well, going into an Olympic Games, it's hard to have expectations, to put expectations on things. You don't want to fall short and be disappointed. You want to be open to, how the games go, but you have expectations of yourself and how you want to do. And I remember our coach said, "Hey, we're going in and we're going to win a gold medal," she did say, but we're going to go win, we're going to go medal. And it's hard to say that because once you say that, you say it.
Yes.
And that means you might be disappointed. But we really had that expectation of we're gonna medal.
Yeah.
And we're not supposed to medal, but we're gonna medal. We've put that kind of target on for the 3 years since the last Olympics, and that's kind of been our star as we navigated the last 3 years. And so, going into it, very much focused, open, ready to for whatever happened. But we had our eyes on that for sure.
And I'll tell you what, it was fixed. You folks went through some setbacks, and there was a loss or so in there. And once you have that in mind, we're going to go after something. How did you recoup from a loss, knowing that you're going into these other rounds? That's always something that I know messes with my mind, right? But how
Yeah.
about you folks? How did you overcome that?
Oh, well, what you're talking about is that mental strength and what you build as a team mentally of when stuff happens that it doesn't go your way or not something that you expect, how do we bounce back from that? And that was, in summary, what we spent the majority of our time working on and practicing and doing for years before that. And so, that mental piece is something that we really wanted to emphasize going into this Olympic block. And so I think the Olympics, the way it played out, was a really good display of how that worked, where we had the pool games and then we had the knockout round. So the pool, we had Brazil, Japan, and France. And so the first two games played really well, defeated Japan and Brazil. And then France, we had, gosh, the home team in
Right.
Paris. They were playing some of their best rugby, and we actually lost to them. So, we had one, we didn't top our pool, which is a kind of a makes you have a harder knockout round typically.
Right.
But didn't go our way. We didn't beat France, and but we had a day to recover. So we had a day to go back and this was not due to us either, having that pool round not being the top of the pool. We're still in the knockout rounds, and so we'd been practicing that, and so really focusing just on our connection, on our processes of how do we prepare and how do we focus in on what we need to do for the next game And so going into the knockout rounds was interesting because the first quarterfinal game was against Great Britain. And so the last Olympics in Tokyo, we had played Great Britain in our quarterfinal. So the same exact situation. But we had lost in Tokyo. That's where we got knocked out. And so there was kind of this like putting us to the test mentally of how are we going to respond to these different situations of one, not topping your pool, two, getting this mentally is really hard. Like, it's like
Yeah.
a deja vu, and it didn't, not good deja vu. And so, but we talked about everything, and there's so much work that goes into being on the pitch, your recovery, physical, the strategy, the gameplay. But that mental part, that is, there's a lot of work that what goes into that. So we talk about it, we meet about it, we draw a lot of attention to it. So that for that first semifinal game, we have this phrase. It's that our sports psychologist has worked with us on, and it's history instructs. So history doesn't dictate what's going to happen because you lost the quarterfinal doesn't mean it, in Tokyo doesn't mean you're going to lose it now. It just gives us more information to be able to prepare for the next game and for what's happening. And so it instructs us. It doesn't dictate what we're going to happen. So spent a lot of time just talking about that and practicing that. So then in our quarterfinal game, we ended up beating them. So that was probably one of my favorite games aside from the bronze medal match. But like just defeating that and staying connected and as a team and overcoming that hurdle was awesome.
Yes.
Um, and so exciting. And then the next game was, it was against New Zealand, the eventual gold medalists.
Right.
And this was the last day. So there's a lot of stuff going on, in this day of it's the final day of the Olympics. You're bringing your medal clothes with you in the locker room. And so not knowing if you're going to wear it, because when you leave the hotel or the Olympic Village, you
Right.
bring your clothes just in case you go on the podium.
Oh, I didn't
So
know
those
that.
were hanging all in our locker rooms. And it was almost like this like elephant in the room where like this like we got to earn the right to wear those.
Mm,
And whether that's a gold medal, whether that's a silver medal, whether that's a bronze medal, we didn't know, but they're there.
right.
And the pressure just built and built and built. And so in the morning, we lost to New Zealand. So
Right.
um, and so for a lot of us, there's a couple of us retiring, a couple of us, just something we've not even just for the people retiring being done after these Olympic Games, but not knowing if it's going to be your last Olympic Games, not knowing if this is your only opportunity you'll ever get. Also just wanting something so badly and working towards it.
Right.
And so there was so much disappointment in that moment of we went in wanting a gold medal and just disappointed and sad and but in I think about 3 hours we played the bronze medal match. And so the emotion you have to do, like how quick you have to turn that over. I understood why we had to practice that and how we had to work on it and talk about it and practice our mental resilience and strength and not pulling away, but like connecting back as a group, which is so hard.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And so, we did all the things we prepared for and just needed to do it together. And we were expecting to play Canada because Canada was playing Australia. Australia, one of the we've lost to them every time we played them the last year. They were also one of the gold medal favorites. That Australia New Zealand matchup is always typically in the final.
Right.
And so we're here, we're in the locker room, we're having our emotions of, gosh, just losing the semifinal, but knowing we have to play against Canada, what we thought,
You're right.
and physically recovering. And then we're watching that game, and we saw that Canada upset Australia. And so we're like, we're playing Australia in the bronze medal game.
Yeah.
So not only are we like, we've Canada and us have gone back and forth. It's been a pretty even matchup. So
Right.
the mentality is a bit different than if you've lost to somebody every single time you've played them in the past year.
Right.
And they've been really close games, but it's not what you were expecting. And so that was when we have, we knew if you bronze medal matches are like they say, I don't know what they call them, I forgot, but it's like it's harder than a bronze medal match because I mean a gold medal match because if you lose, you don't get a medal. If you win, you get a medal. If you're in
Yes.
that final, you get a silver or gold. You're pretty good.
Hey,
So a lot was on the line, and we're playing Australia, which was, a really hard road to get there. Um, Not what we expect, but again, it was all about our team and all about, hey, we got to do this together. We got to have a really good game. All of us have to be firing at the same time. We have to help each other do that. Um, and we're playing in a stadium of 70,000 people. And like it just doesn't, there's not much more that can build in that situation. So that was the lead up to the bronze medal game. So a lot of stuff happened in between that first game when we played Japan to that bronze medal game. And the fashion that the bronze medal game unfolded, um, the way there was a lot of adversity within the game. I could talk forever about that game,
yes.
but just Spiff scoring on that last minute try,
Yeah.
and then to make the kick to win it. I think that the road to get us there is what we worked on so hard to do through adversity of them scoring in the last minute, of us having one more chance to get the ball back in our own try line to get it all the way down the field, which is really hard.
Right.
Um, just the work we put in to be a team, and that's why at that moment I was so elated, so happy, so like, oh, we actually did it. When you
Yeah.
work really hard at something and it's hard and there's a lot of conflict,
Yeah.
and when you earn it, it feels, oh my gosh, it's the best feeling in the world. So in short, not short, in long, that was kind of the how the Olympic Games went for us, and what that looked like, and how it's not what you think, but it's all about that work you do to manage yourself and have practice it and
Yes.
stay together as a team, and recognizing yourself, whether you go away or how you react, and how I can better be the best how I can be the best teammate, and how we can do this together. So
I
anyways,
love that.
that's the games.
No, well, I just remember at one point it looked like you folks were playing possessed. It just tackle after tackle, the way that you were covering, the way that you were communicating, and I'll tell you what, it was 8 seconds. You folks had 8 seconds to get all the way down there. No one thought you were going to. You were at the very end of the other zone there, the try zone, and I just remember watching when Spiff got the ball and the two missed tackles. It was classic because I think they had assumed that was going. And I just remember the electricity that I felt, but watching the crowd, they were going bananas. They were just going bananas. And it was just I felt like it was a reward that through all that hard effort, you folks were just that mental resilience. Holy moly, because that those behind the scenes things, I mean, you were playing against the Levi sisters. They're brutal, man. They're just
Mhm.
brutal. And Spiff runs them, and then I can't remember who tackled her sister, but it was just a phenomenal experience. And I want to thank you because I still look back at that game with great fondness and use it often as something to motivate players when they're in the doldrums, or if that's what you call it. That mental resilience, I'll keep on going back to that because it's so often neglected of how powerful a play that could go to. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, rugby sevens is this is why I think it's one of the coolest sports. The fact that it's 14 minutes
Yep.
and it's so high paced, high energy, high athleticism, and you're just going, the games are so exciting. And so a lot of people were after the Olympics said, who didn't hadn't watched a lot of rugby, like that was the most exciting game I've ever seen. And it was like a buzzer beater, and you never get those. And I was thinking back to all our games, and like there's a lot of those actually. If you watch rugby, it's those
Yes.
last second just big plays, and it happened on a big stage at a big moment. But it's so aligned with rugby sevens, and there's takes so much. You have to be so mentally strong to be like, hey, this is a high pressure moment, and the game's going to change within 10 seconds.
It
So
it really can, and it just blows my mind how that is true in especially in sevens. Oh my goodness, I could go on and on and on, and we'll probably have to save that for another show because it is so astounding. But thank you for sharing that and capturing that excitement of that moment. I could feel my heart beating right now just thinking about that game. And I know it's funny when you know the outcome and you're still freaking out.
true, true.
Well, I want to go even before that time. You weren't even a rugby player in high school. Heck, you weren't even a rugby player in college. You were an elite basketball player, right?
Yeah, basketball was my first love. I grew up playing all sports. I played soccer, softball, I did track, I golfed, I loved basketball. Still to this day, love basketball. I'm in a rec basketball league now. It is my first love of the sport, and so played that through college and coached collegiate basketball after that. And so that was kind of my career path. I was playing. I was in my mid 20s and just didn't have that competitiveness in me was really still there. And so my sister had found rugby in college, and so she had introduced it to me, and she'd showed me. And there's a really great rugby community, college, but also post college. In the time that I was in my mid 20s, kind of people who just want either something social or just to be active or to be a part of a team. Or to play a really high competitive level sport. There was a place for everybody. And so my sister had connected me. I was living in San Diego at the time, and my sister had a friend that was playing down here, and she said, "You should go. Like, you should go. You just moved to San Diego. It's great. Like, these girls are so cool. You go learn something. If you still have that competitiveness, like the activeness, you feel that desire to do that." So
Mm.
she made me go. I was nervous, but I was like, okay, I'll go with it's the San Diego Surfers. So as a club team here, and I showed up, and it was that probably is one of the one things that shaped my view of rugby and really gave me a really good insight of like, this is what the rugby community is. And there's a lot of different sports, and every sport has their kind of culture and type of person and um, how things go and what they value. And rugby was, I played so many sports, but
Yeah.
rugby specifically, it was something that I had never I could pin it down at the time, but I could never like it was something it was different than
Right.
anything. And there was all different types of people there.
Yep.
There everybody was so welcoming and helping one another. And I don't even think we had a coach when I first came. It was just coached by everybody, and it wasn't chaotic. It
Right.
was welcoming. And I was like, well, I've never played this before, and I don't know they're pretty competitive. These are really good athletes, and
Yeah.
but they took the time. They taught me how to play rugby, and I definitely doing the wrong thing, but they're like, "Oh, just help correct me and not get mad at me," and different from other sports. And so the fact that it's so social
Yeah.
and there's a high level of um, physicality, yet such a high level of respect and
Yeah.
of camaraderie and having every different type of person and skill set that fits into one sport. So you look at basketball players, they're all tall.
Yeah.
Soccer players are all really small and fit usually.
Yes. Yes.
And rugby is like, no, there's everybody of all shapes, sizes, skills, personalities, everything, and it works. So from there, yeah, it kind of stuck, and that's what kept me going there.
That's why I got addicted to it. I mean, the reason this is called the Rugby Rookie is because I was looking at it from, I'll step into it, and all of a sudden it just nabs you. I mean, what other sport are you actively looking for a good player on the other team so that you can call them the person of the match, right? Or whatever it might be. And on top of that, just the really deep respect between players. I've seen it get heated, but it always comes back to the handshake and really coming together to grow the sport. That's what I've loved about it. It just has blown my mind, and it sounds like you've done it. It's fun to see it continue to grow. And speaking of growth, how or what do you think is necessary to continue to grow the sport?
That's a good question. I think a lot of things,
Yeah.
but I think people who get exposed to rugby, my experience was not unique to any, like that's what a lot of people say when they're introduced to rugby. You said you feel that same way, and so just the exposure to rugby, um, I think there's a couple different ways you could look at it, but really, I think from a youth standpoint, uh, um, having more exposure, more opportunities to just get involved, and then it grows itself. Like there's not much that needs to be done outside of that, other than more opportunities for young athletes, or even older athletes who are transitioning from a different sport or just looking for something that fits them as an athlete and as a person,
Yeah.
and where they fit and where they feel included and where they feel valued and how they can express themselves in a way that they want to. And so I know Alona Mar has done such a great job to expose rugby to the
Yes.
world from a media standpoint, and how she plays in from that professional lens.
Right.
Though I think the more youth that get involved, and there already has been a huge growth, you just
Yes.
feel the same thing. And
Yeah.
just really understanding like the benefits that come from rugby, not as an athlete, but as a person and as a young person. And I always say like, oh, I wish I would have found rugby when I was younger and my body didn't hurt as much. But I because of what it taught me, I think even as a really seasoned other was already a collegiate athlete, it had made me evolve as an athlete so much more,
Right.
for a lot of different ways. The leadership that's required for rugby,
Yeah.
the high level of teamwork. I'm not talking about other sports, the high level of understanding different people and how do we work together because we're so different.
Yes.
Um, that was something that just elevated after I played, for 25 years, just these
Yes.
sports. And just respect and this I mean, so many things. So I think if we can really just grow this from a young person's standpoint, I think we're going to see rugby grow a lot in the United States. So there's a lot of great people, Maurice included, that are just really here to help create those opportunities,
Yeah.
for different people. I think that's going to go a long way.
Oh man, I love hearing that. And I really do love seeing all these grassroots efforts going on right now and just to bring people to it. It's a fabulous, fabulous sport. Oh my goodness. Well, there's so many other things that come to mind. And one of them is you're in a very unique opportunity where you have been an elite rugby player, but now you're doing some amazing things that are even, I wouldn't even say post rugby career because you're still so heavily involved in rugby. What are some of the things that you've been learning?
Yeah, well, I'm 2 years post-retirement, so I've had a little time to try to figure out what's next for myself. But I think it's to start in the rugby front, where that fits into my life right now. Of everybody on that Olympic team and the people who were in our training squad in our program, we all had this mission that it wasn't just like a mission and value statement. It was something that we really truly believed in, and we sat and we deliberated about it and we debated about it, and but it was something we all bought into. Of we really why we're doing this is because we really want to grow rugby,
Yes.
but we also want to. We said move the jersey forward. We want to create opportunities in whatever way we can, and so everyone on our team, again, like I'm saying, rugby's really different. We're all so different.
Yes.
And that's an understatement. If you know some, if you've seen the personalities of different people.
Oh yeah.
So I feel like we all have this continued mission to reach the communities that you reach and the
Yeah.
people that you reach. There's going to be people like Alona Mar or Naya Tapper or Sammy Sullivan,
Yeah.
or me or whoever that are gonna it's gonna resonate with different people. And so whoever we
Yes.
can reach, we've kind of dispersed and grown rugby in whatever way that comes into our lives. And so I've tried to just stay involved in whatever opportunities come that I can grow rugby. I'm happy to do so. So I always am out, open to those opportunities to just see how the game's evolving, how
Yeah.
we can help grow that in our own ways. And I think from a national team's perspective, if we can kind of be assisting in that, that's going to help grow rugby with a lot of things. So I try to do that, a lot of different things in that way. So,
Yeah.
and then there's my professional life with, okay, well, that was my job for 6 years. Now
Yeah.
I'm 33, I was 32. What's next for me?
Right.
And so um, I finished occupational therapy school, realized, oh, I don't think I want to do occupational therapy, and I don't think that fits me, which tracks with my athletic career where I just jumped from sport to sport.
Right.
And
Sure.
but I needed something that fit me fully in this time, and so there's a bit of a journey finding where I fit and where what makes sense for me. And
Mhm.
so I started working with a company, Strata Intel, where I'm able to build this company that brings in the things that I loved about rugby and the what we were trying to achieve there.
Yeah.
So we measure mental load and human strain, and it's a tool for leaders to be able to understand and measure what the mental load of their team is, which a lot of leaders in the business context
Yeah.
don't measure. And
No.
so we're building this tool, working with our founder, Dr. Ashton, a clinical psychologist, and he's developed his over 30 years of experience and brought in this ability to measure mental load.
Right.
And on the rugby team and through the Olympics, this was something we had about 100 checks for, and we're very bought into understanding and how
Yeah.
we sustain performance and without burning out and staying together. And so that very much interests me when I heard about what he was creating. And so I was brought on the team to help build that, and that's currently what I'm doing. And so build having that athletic perspective and what I experienced through the Olympics
Yeah.
and how that was just a norm of understanding mental load and mental strain and capacity of your team, and how are we doing from a
Mhm.
mental standpoint? We have our physical way we're performing, but what about mentally, and what toll is that taking on us as a team? So something I love building, something I think is so beneficial for leaders to have and understand and teams to have. And
Mhm.
so just what fits my life right now. And it's been a joy to build that and bring my perspective from elite athletics into more of a business context.
Yeah.
Um, though I would love to be back on the field, not gonna lie.
I think once you're on the field, you never quite leave it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of old leagues over here. When I say old, I mean older people leagues that are taking off, and it's fun because you'll see 50 something year olds out there. And
Mhm.
then one of the gents that I helped coach this year, his dad was it was on the first two World Cup teams for Zimbabwe. I mean, Zimbabwe, I had no idea. And this guy
Cool.
is still stout at 70, and he's still on the pitch in some capacity or another. It's
It's amazing.
awesome. And what I love about what you just said, though, about your current professional life is that it's married everything, and it's okay not to follow the path that you might not have been trained in. I think some people just, I know I did. I thought I follow a course and I'm going to get there, and it took me years later just to realize sometimes you need a pivot. And I love that you were able to pivot so succinctly.
Yeah.
Man, every time I speak with you, I am pumped for one, but I learn something that is both new and exciting, but more importantly, it's very impactful. And I got to thank you for always being that individual, man.
Oh, you're too kind.
Oh no,
Or
man,
yeah.
it's all good. Well, I have to go back to the rugby thing and ask you, did you like cardio days better or did you like weight days better? What was your favorite?
Unpopular, but I loved the cardio days. I am not because I'm not very strong. Like weights were so hard for me. Like I was a bit on the smaller side.
Uh,
And but I could run a little bit. So that was kind of my strength, I guess. So but I mean, I was lifting weights next to Naya Tapper and Alona Mar and Jenna Emma. And so
that would have been hard.
I would think maybe it's just maybe I'm okay. It's just my confidence goes so low because they're lifting like three times what I'm weightlifting, so it just hurts the ego. So I'm like, I can jog though. I can jog for a while. So
I can
it is
outrun
what it
you.
is.
I can outrun you.
Well, honestly, not always, because they are very fast too, which is not fair. You don't, it's not fair, but I tried my best.
Love it, love it, love it. And what was your favorite, whatever? There's only a few pieces of equipment, but what was your favorite go-to?
I've never been asked that before.
I know.
That's a good question. My favorite piece of equipment. Well, for on the rugby pitch, there's, I mean, like you don't, all you have is your mouth guards, and
Yeah.
there's not much equipment required. But
Yeah.
definitely my favorite piece of equipment was either the Normatec leg compression sleeves
Oh, very
for
nice.
recovery, game changer, or we got a hot tub.
Oh,
So us old people,
oh.
in the mornings really helps the old knees and ankles get warmed up. And so I religiously would be in that for about 15 minutes before we played because those old days got pretty long. Um, yeah, those are my two favorite pieces of equipment probably that
Okay.
come to mind. Yeah.
I know that was an odd question, but I'm always curious because there's always it's always different that I found. And being old myself, I could definitely appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah. The equipment for rugby is really interesting because there's a lot of creativity in at least training equipment. And I
Yes.
remember we had a basketball hoop at our on the field. We'd sometimes play knockout. I don't ever really know why it was there. It was so fun. But we would tr a lot of the scrum halves we'd go and we'd do overhead throws
Oh,
into
that's
the I
fantastic.
never thought of that, but that was up there too with at least training performance equipment of that's how I really learned to do my throws matched with
Wow.
basketball. But
Yeah.
so there's some really creative people in rugby and they've showed us a lot of really creative things. So those were always fun too.
Wow. Well, there's one, and I thank you for that because, man, that just made me realize there's going to be some fun answers to that in the future.
Yeah, that's a really interesting one. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love it. Well, and then lastly, though, what would you say to anyone thinking about rugby? What made you so amped about that? But why should they consider that when they're so ingrained in other sports, just like you were?
There's so many reasons. I gotta narrow down my answer. Well, first, and especially I think on the female side, the physicality is not really matched to any other sport.
Mhm.
There's a lot of really physical sports out there, though it is to a bit of a different level. And that was difficult for me when I played. Again, I was a little bit undersized, very intimidating. I actually hated it when I started. I grew to
Oh,
really love it. I think not being intimidated by that and just be willing to try new things.
right.
And because rugby is so cool. And
Yeah.
what you'll learn with rugby is really and what you'll gain from the people and from the sport and what you'll be surprised with what you can do physically is really, really empowering.
Yeah.
And what you can do with your body and with other people, what you can accomplish is really cool. And so I know a lot of people who try rugby and they fall in love. And the people are just willing to try and just to try something new. It goes a long way. And so may not be for everybody, but I think it's for everybody.
You are awesome, and so do I. I am very biased in that opinion, but
Mhm.
I've just seen it time and time again. Well,
Yeah.
my goodness. Well, there's so many awesome tidbits that you've given, and I would hope that you continue on the path that you're going as far as where you are professionally, but also just from impact. I just love the impact that you continue to have. And I see that as a friend, but more importantly, you just see it in the people whose lives you touch. So thank you for being that example and carrying on the torch and doing what you folks said on the team. Leave that, make sure that that uniform is ready for someone else too, leaving that legacy.
Yeah, thanks, Maurice. And it takes a village of and a community of people to grow this sport. And just is really cool to see how everyone's working together and what we're doing to just grow the sport and just to impact people and to have fun while we're doing it.